The 2025 TCL QM9K might just be the best TV that TCL has ever released. I mean, we're talking about a 4K up to 144 Hz plus VRR panel that is using their brand new Crisp Glow WHVA panel to be precise, which promises to deliver better viewing angles than ever before while still retaining the excellent contrast of a VA panel. So this is one that I've been very excited to take a look at, and the 75-inch version that was lent to me by TCL for this review, so I will have to send it back and it won't be affecting my review. Well, I did measure roughly 4,032 zones on this model, and that is a lot of local dimming zones for a TV of this size. So in theory, it should be getting closer to OLED than ever before. And when you pair that with their AI PQ Pro processor and the Google OS, well, you should be seeing some pretty snappy movements around that operating system. Also, it comes with Dolby Vision IQ, HDR10+, HDR10, and HLG, so this should be able to display any HDR content that you can throw at it. Also, the 75-inch version I'm reviewing comes in right now roughly at a price of $1,999.99. And fellas, that's quite a bit for a mini LED TV. So with this being their flagship TV, it better really give OLED a run for its money at that price point. And by the way, it does come with a 1-year warranty. Now, everything on paper, it's looking great, but is this the right TV for you? Well, let's find out by first talking about the color. Now, as you'd expect with any modern mini LED HDR capable display, it can deliver very vibrant, punchy, and very bright colors in HDR. So if you've never seen a modern mini LED, you're sure to be wowed. I mean, it's going to blow you away. But let's talk about the actual accuracy of this panel, and let's start off with SDR. This is going to be pretty much the majority of content out there that's not HDR, and out of the box, it's pretty good. I mean, it tracks fairly well on the EOTF curve. The RGB balance overall is pretty decent, and the near black performance is also pretty decent. It just has some shadow crush near the very end of the curve. Now, it can be improved, but it's never going to be quite perfect, but very good overall. Speaking of very good, the color checker analysis was also very good. An average delta of just 0.9 is one of the better results that I've seen in SDR out of any TV that I've reviewed. However, in HDR, it's not quite as good. Out of the box, it does have some issues tracking HDR brightness, and while the color checker analysis overall is pretty decent, thankfully the color gamut coverage, which is very important for displaying color in HDR, was very good, 79.44% UV. Overall, yeah, the color is pretty good, and the accuracy, especially in SDR, is also very good, although it does have some minor flaws, as you'd expect with any mini LED set. And unfortunately, the HDR, while pretty decent, wasn't quite as good as the SDR overall. However, I do think most buyers will consider this certainly beyond acceptable and will enjoy a pretty close to the creator's intent if you throw it into the filmmaker mode. But what about the HDR impact? I mean, is this really going to melt your eyeballs the way you want it to? Well, I mean, yeah, kinda. I mean, in the actual window brightness test, it certainly is a very bright TV. I measured in excess of 4,000 nits in the filmmaker mode, and look, to be honest with you guys, if you mess around the settings, you can probably get it to be significantly brighter than that. So it's a very, very bright TV. It's one of the brightest that I have ever measured, and even in a 100% window, you're close to 1,000 nits. That's quite a bit more than what OLED can achieve, and this is why a lot of people look for mini LED TVs. However, in real HDR content, your mileage may vary. In some scenes, it will be much brighter than OLED, but in others, it'll actually fall short. Look at this one from Baldur's Gate 3, and here you can see that the QM9K, it's actually closer to the middle of the pack, and surprisingly, not really any better than the slightly more affordable QM8K. So that's a very interesting result that I got. And again, your mileage may vary depending on your TV size and the content that you're viewing. Though I don't want that to deter you from thinking that this isn't a very bright TV. It certainly is, and the vast majority of HDR content, it's gonna blow you away. I mean, trust me, this thing gets very, very bright, especially in full screen, and it will do HDR video justice in a way that a lot of TVs simply can't. So very impressive there. And with so many local dimming zones, is it equally as impressive when it comes to the contrast and the blooming control. And I think that depends. So there does seem to be somewhat of a diminishing returns type of situation when it comes to mini LED. The more zones you add, yes, the better it gets, but it starts to become less and less better. And this is certainly, I think, a good case for that, because although I do believe the contrast on the QM9K is some of the best that I've seen out of any mini LED TV, it still pales in comparison to OLED, and it's just not quite the huge leap that you would expect over a QM8K or even a QM7K, which I think aren't that far behind the QM9K and come in at a far more affordable price point. Likewise, despite the fact that it does come with the WHVA panel, when you look straight on, blooming is very hard to notice unless you're in a pitch black room, but if you do go at an angle, you can see it sometimes. And I'll throw on screen the fireworks scene that I love to run to expose blooming on mini LEDs. Keep in mind, this is a very challenging scene in a pitch black room, but you can see that yes, blooming is definitely very noticeable still, especially when you're off angle. So has blooming been solved? No. And, you know, is contrast as good as OLED? No. But overall, I do think it's actually pretty good. So look, it's not going to be perfect. If you want perfect, you gotta go with OLED, but I think that most buyers will find this to be a huge leap over previous LCD panels that they might be used to, and very good overall. Now, speaking of contrast, the contrast in a bright room, well, in some cases, it might actually look better than something like QD-OLED, because in a bright room, QD-OLED can have some issues with ambient light handling. And here you can expect similar results to this 0.07 nits that I've seen on glossy mini LEDs. So yeah, you're gonna get very, very good picture in a bright room. This is where this TV shines, and it's honestly where you're really not gonna notice any of that blooming that might occur. You're not gonna notice a lot of that contrast loss versus OLED because it does so well in that bright room. But what about using it for gaming? I mean, is this a good TV? And it kind of depends. So in general, OLED's gonna be better for gaming, and that holds true here. It's just gonna be faster in motion by quite a large margin, but you know, in terms of latency, it does get pretty close to some of the best TVs out there. The only issue is, for some reason, I couldn't get 144 hertz to display correctly on my PC with an RTX 5070. So the most I could run it at was 120 hertz. Well, at 120 hertz, it is a little bit slower than, say, the QM8K, which is, again, a slightly more affordable model. So hopefully that can be addressed, but even at 120 hertz, very respectable results of 31 milliseconds total system latency, including the PC. And in terms of motion, it's pretty decent. Look, it's not gonna blow you away. The LG G5 OLED at 165 hertz, let's be honest, it smokes the QM9K. It's much better in motion, and that's why I say, even the Bravia 2 at 120 hertz, definitely way better in motion than the QM9K. And that's why I say OLED's better for gaming. But is the QM9K bad? Certainly not. In terms of motion performance, out of a technically VA panel, this is actually pretty respectable, and I think for most people will certainly be good enough. So would I game on this TV? Yeah, I definitely would. I wouldn't say don't buy it because of that, but is it the strongest TV out there for gaming? Probably not. Now, speaking of motion, the motion interpolation on this TV is kind of hit or miss. I felt like it's pretty good up to a de-judder of around 4 or 5, so if you want to clean up some stuttery motion, it can get the job done, but sometimes it has a little bit of some issues, or it's a little inconsistent every once in a while. So just keep that in mind. Also, the low bit rate handling, it's all right. It helps a bit, but it doesn't make a huge difference in my opinion. And I still feel like Sony is the king when it comes to low quality content upscaling. Now, thankfully, this WHVA panel is a regular RGB subpixel arrangement, so the overall clarity is really excellent even for text, and thanks to them pairing it with an incredibly clear glossy coating, yes, the clarity of this panel is absolutely insane. It's some of the best that I've ever seen. But the one thing that's been a huge problem for mini LED has been the viewing angles. Is this new WHVA panel finally going to solve that? Well, sort of. I mean, it is pretty good overall, but it certainly still falls short of OLED, especially QD-OLED that's basically perfect. I mean, it still does have some loss of color and contrast, mostly color off angle, but I will say TCL has certainly improved in this area over the years to a point where on this new panel, I would say for most seating conditions in real world use, it's no longer going to be a major issue. So I would say, yeah, pretty good but not perfect. Now, as for the sound, can you get away with not buying a soundbar? I mean, that is a tall order these days, but I'll tell you this much. It's got pretty decent timbre. It sounds very natural overall. The treble's pretty good actually as well, which is surprising. And I would say pretty much for the mids as well. Just overall as a package, is it going to be super hi-fi? Yeah, not really, but it is pretty impressive in those categories overall. But it does have, I would say, low impact bass. So you're not going to get that huge rumble that you want. So if you want something like that to really immerse yourself in that movie, I would go ahead and pick up some sort of at least soundbar or full sound system to get the most out of this TV. And I do want to mention real quick here, I did have a few issues, unfortunately, on this TV. I did see, and this one was kind of irritating to me, much like I saw in the QM9K, some flickering on low quality content. What do I mean? Well, if there was content that had some tiny bit of flickering or just in general was kind of low quality, it seemed like this TV turned that minor flickering up to 11. It made it a lot worse. I compared it to many other TVs, and it's certainly a reproducible problem, it seems, at least on my sets, that was kind of annoying. So if you're not feeding it high quality content, sometimes it won't look the best. And also a few random times the menu kind of froze up, which was annoying. And 144 Hz, like I mentioned earlier, didn't display properly. So it did have some issues on this unit. In fact, I delayed the review trying to wait for fixes from TCL, but it's been a long time. I got to release the review at this point, and these still aren't fixed. Now, the menu and firmware overall, I think, was pretty good, and I still feel like Google OS with the right processor is very fast. So for the most part, very fast, but again, they just had a few weird bugs there. So what do I think about the TCL QM9K? On the one hand, this is a TV from TCL that deserves the flagship name. I mean, in my opinion, it's one of the brightest TVs they've ever put out. It's up there with some of the most accurate TVs they put out for the most part. It also has some of the best contrast they put out, and the new WHVA panel makes it far better for wide viewing angle conditions. So this really is, as a package, I would say probably the best TV that TCL has ever released. It's very, very impressive, and it delivers bright HDR content in a way that's really hard to compete with, and at times can even be far brighter and more impactful than OLED, depending on the content. Sometimes it can go the other way. However, at the same time, due to those issues that it had, such as the sometimes weird menu issues, not being able to display 144 Hz on my PC, and flickering on some low quality content, mixed with the very high price point overall compared to some of the more entry-level OLED, it starts to go head-to-head with those mid to entry-level OLEDs. Well, it does start to get hard for me to recommend this to everyone. Do I think it's a good TV that's worth buying? The answer is yes, but is it the right TV for everyone? No, and I think whether or not it's the right TV for you depends on your viewing conditions. If you're looking for one of the best mini LEDs for a bright room, this might be a really great choice, and I will have affiliate links in the description below. But if you're looking for a flawless experience, or you want something for a dark man cave type situation, you might be better off looking for an OLED, or maybe if you want to do some gaming and that's going to be a huge priority, again, maybe look at OLED. But overall, I do think it's pretty good. I'm kind of between a 6 or a 7 out of 10. I think I could even be between 7 or 8 if TCL is able to fix those issues. I do think it's very strong overall. It's just brought down by a couple frustrating problems.